All right. Welcome back to season 4 of Music Explained. We're here joined by Silvertone, who's a Philadelphia based house music artist and producer, spanning all of the subgenres, everything from minimal tech to bass house. We're so happy to have you. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I want to take it all the way to the beginning. Somewhere we love to start with our guests is you started with an analog synth and a DJ controller,
hmm
and that's how you kicked off your music journey. Take us back to that place. What got you interested in making your own music?
Sure. So I think the seed started with my dad's been very much into messing around with music. Growing up at home, he was always playing with a drum machine or playing the piano or something like that. And he's a big gadget guy, so he likes collecting new things. And so every once in a while, he'd come home with a new drum machine or a new synthesizer or something like that. And I never really messed around with any of it until one day I did. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like electronic music is cool, but I didn't really listen to that kind of to electronic music at all. I mostly listened to like classic rock because that's just what my brother was listening to, and that's what my dad was also mainly listening to. But then fast forward to middle school, I started messing around with the synthesizer a little bit more. And I actually started a small band with friends in middle school, which was horrible.
Is no
And
unreleased music that's out there right now for people to
there
dig up?
we did actually release one track, and it was only in CD format.
Oh
So if
man.
you can find one of those CDs, our band name was Master Volume. But anyway,
Okay.
um, where I used the synthesizer in the one track that we put out. So it was a mixture of like a bassist and a guitarist and a drummer, and then I was doing the synthesizer work. But honestly, the real start of it came with I went to a day camp in middle school. I stopped going to day camp right after middle school ended. And I went to camp with a kid who ended up going on to do dubstep, and his artist name was Slushy. And he was talking all about music production, and like he showed me a little bit about that and what that looked like. And so, from a music production standpoint, I started getting into that early on in high school, right at the beginning of high school. And that was influenced by him. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, that looks really, really, really cool. I want to learn a little bit more about that. And my thing is, I like learning about things. And that was just another thing I could learn about. And so I went on and I started at actually an electronic music producers club in high school with another friend of mine with whom I DJ in Philadelphia. And we were the only two members of the club. No one showed up, but
Were you
that's
guys the
okay.
founding members or was
We
it
were,
something that your
we were,
school had? That's
no,
awesome.
it never, yeah, they never had that. And they used to do like activity fair where all the clubs would show off
Yeah.
what they were doing. And we would set up a table with a DJ controller and speakers and lights. And everyone's like, whoa, that looks awesome. We're like, yeah, come learn how to make music. Two things. One, we didn't even know what we were doing. And two, no one ended up signing up. So they just took pictures and that was it. But DJing, where I started doing that, was a friend of mine in high school in youth group was like a wedding DJ, and we would have dances and he would DJ the dances, and it was like cool. I was like, whoa, like that's really awesome that he's up there doing his thing separate from the party, like just behind off to himself, controlling the music. And I was like, I want to learn about that. Again, just learning about things. And so he told me what equipment he used, how he got into it, what the important parts of it that you need to learn. And then I went off and did a couple like backyard grad parties. I did two weddings, two backyard weddings,
Ooh,
and a couple of
okay.
house parties. Um, and then I put it on the back burner, honestly. And then I went off to college. I sold all the equipment, went off to college, didn't really think about it at all. And we had parties, and I didn't DJ the parties. I didn't get involved with that. I just wanted to be, social and being around. And it wasn't really until 2019, like my last year of school, where people were starting to DJ at clubs, and I was old enough to do that. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And so I just kind of cold messaged one of the promoters at Noto, and I said, hey, I want to get my foot in the door here. And he said, well, you have to prove that you know what you're doing. Send me a mix. Send him a mix. He was happy with it, and then went off from there and been playing around the city since then, since 2019. Yeah.
What a jump.
Yeah. But there was like a good lull from like 2015 to 2019, about 4 years where I just didn't do anything music related.
It's super interesting. I totally get the feeling of like wanting to go to school and I guess like do the school experience and maybe not carry with you some of the the work effectively that you're
Yeah.
doing in the background. I'm surprised that you sold everything off. Did you
Yeah,
think that you were ever gonna return back to it, or
not in the capacity of like playing a high school dodgeball game where I was controlling the music or like a backyard wedding. I just knew that I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going off to college. I don't need to do any of
that's
that
not the
anymore.
right route?
No. It wasn't a lot. It was just like my
Yeah.
DJ controller, a laptop stand, and two speakers, and the two tripods for the speakers and the cables. It was like typical on the go DJ stuff. And that's not to say that I didn't mess around with production every once in a while. I mean, I did pick up the software every once in a while, like on a Thursday night if I had nothing going on, I'd mess around. But I had kind of written it off as if this is not for me. I don't know what I'm doing. This is too much because I never really. I spent all of junior year and senior year of high school. I dabbled with the production software that I still use to this day, just obviously the newest version. I
Which
taught
software is it that
the
you use?
software is called a Fruity Loop Studio or FL Studio,
Oh, okay.
and it's been around forever.
That's Apple?
No, it's made by a company called Image out of
Okay.
I think the Netherlands or Sweden, one of those countries. I think Swedish. I don't know. And that was the software that my friend from camp had used, so that's the
Mhm.
only thing I knew. I I learned the software where I could have a functional understanding of how it works, very high level. Like you ask me to put down a kick and a clap, fine, I can do that. But the stuff that I do now today was like foreign science to me then. And then I just didn't have any reason to really dabble with it in college. And then I actually had a friend of mine, so I didn't tell the whole truth actually. A friend of mine was in the music industry program at Drexel and had access to studio equipment. And my fourth year at Drexel was when I was like, I want to go see the studios and like go in there and maybe like hear how stuff I have made in the past sounds on that. And I was very humbled very quickly about how horrible it was sounded. Um, so yeah, like the latter half of college is when I kind of picked it up. But I would say the real turning point for me when I went all in on like I actually know what I think I know what I'm doing and I know that I can be good at this was in the spring of 22. My friends and I, all people who DJ in the city, um, we went to and my other friend who was involved in the music industry law went to a trip to LA in the springtime. And this was right around the time that John Summit dropped his track La Danza. And that was like the song of the season then.
Yeah.
And we heard it everywhere in LA. And we went to a couple shows at a couple clubs there. I had never been to any of the clubs in LA. And I was like, wow, like I actually really want to do this. Um, and I knew that in order to bring DJing more opportunities to myself, I had to be also creating music. So that kind of was the turning point. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna revisit my old hobby. I'm gonna spend more time, give it more time. And in 2022, for the rest of 2022, all 9 months after that trip, I was doing like 40 hours a week of music production. And then I finally started putting out. I was like, a lot of people put out. I noticed a lot of people put out music that's like the quality's not there. It feels rushed. It's like they just made it for the sake of making it and then just put it out for the sake of putting it out. But I am thankful that I'm at a point where I can tell what's acceptable quality and what's not. Or at the time, I was at a point where I knew what was good and what was not. And I had to listen to myself and like, would I play this? No. Okay, it's not ready. And then finally, in like the spring, a year later, the spring of 23, was when I was like, okay, I've done a year now of like 40 hours a week producing, gotten good at this. I'm gonna put out my first track, which is like a remix, on a French remix label on SoundCloud, and I think that track's at like 80,000 streams now, which is pretty wild.
It's incredible.
It's actually at 90, just hit 90.
Well,
Wow.
congrats. Look at
Yeah.
that.
Thanks. Thank you. But
That's
that
great.
was first track with a friend of mine from Philly, also named Alec. And I met him on TikTok. It was a very weird interaction. Now we're like
That's
very good
amazing.
friends. And so yeah, so the first release I had under this project was the spring of 23.
Wow.
And
And you
I did 9 tracks in 23 and I did 28 tracks last year in 24. So I kind of jumped because I got the hang of it.
Yeah, that's like a crazy
Yeah.
exponential growth
Yeah.
to look at, especially from coming from the place of kind of putting it aside as a hobby and
Mhm.
then jumping back in and taking it so seriously. obvious that you just have a passion for learning, and it feels like with getting more interested in it and seeing more of it, you dove in and you took that to learn all of the production side.
Yeah, I like over time I've had hobbies that don't have any material outcome. And then I've actually, as I've gotten older, gotten involved in hobbies that have a material outcome. So I used to be like video games. There's no outcome. It's
Right.
just wasted time.
Totally.
And then I got into, before I got all in on music making, I was making beer for about 4 years.
Interesting.
Um, there was an overlap where I was doing it concurrently with music, but like I liked making beer. That was a material outcome that I could share with people.
Sure.
And then I got into going to the gym, and that's a material outcome. And then finally, I was like, wait, music, you could read. There's an infinite reach. There's an infinite amount of people you can cater your or like provide your
Yeah.
uh the music to. So I love that too. Is that I can see a follow from someone on SoundCloud. Someone from Denmark downloaded they're like a resident at some club there, and they downloaded one of my remixes, which means they'll probably play it. That's cool. I'll never see that, or maybe one day I will. But I've never been into a place where I've walked in and they're playing one of my remixes or tracks. But the time will come eventually. I just love that aspect of it. That it's something that can be shared. It's something that can be distributed.
Yeah. I have to imagine that it's so surreal. You have been supported by so many big names. I know you've been supported by the Chainsmokers, by Mochak,
It
by a
is.
whole
Sorry, I'll let you
No,
continue.
it's such a something that your music does. You touch on so many different subgenres, and Usman and I have had this conversation on the show many, many times where I feel like there's almost a new subgenre popping up every other day. Like there's
There
always
is.
something new to explore, especially in the house
There is.
space. And you touch on so much of it. To see your music played out by some of those like massive, massive names must be insanely rewarding.
The I think the first thing I can remember, the first time I remember having a reaction like that was, uh, I think it was Miami Music Week. No, I'm sorry. It was New Year's Eve last year. Um, where there's a website called 1001 Track List. I don't know where the
Yeah,
name from. Yeah.
I love that. I
So
love that
it's
website.
great. I pay for song stats where I'll get a notification if someone plays something through 1001.
Cool.
It's like $5 a month. But no, I had a kid from Philly actually who I'd never met at the time yet, but he followed me on Instagram. He messaged me, goes, "This is awesome, congrats, man!" And I saw, because I didn't even get the notification, and it was the track list from some. It was a set at I don't remember what the name of the festival in California, but it's a New Year. They do Countdown New Year's Eve.
Countdown, yeah.
Yeah, and the Chainsmokers were playing some set, and they played one of my remixes in the set. And so I was like, someone find me a video, someone find me a recording. And I found some kid from like Serbia who his whole hobby is just recording sets and like posting them. And so he was like, "Oh, I have the recording here. I'll send it to you." Uh, and that was really cool. And then they posted the set, or there was a whole set recording on YouTube or something like that. And I was sitting there, I was like, the same people who made Roses
Yeah.
are sitting
Yep.
here playing out of any track that they could play. So then I wanted to know how they found it. And it turns out, so I'm in a Discord that has a lot of big artists in it, and you're only permitted to post in official channels if you're an official big artist, but they have like a community channel where like smaller people like myself can post whatever you want. So every time every time I export a new track, I put it in a Dropbox folder and I upload it to this Discord. And it turns out a guy I know from, I think he's from the Netherlands, is best friends with a guy who does set curation for big artists, and that he just happened to put together the set for the Chainsmokers for this festival. Or maybe he had I don't know if he put the whole set together, but he sent them music in some capacity. And he's in a bunch of Discords scouring for new stuff, and he happened to stumble upon the
It's all
track that I had
yours.
submitted. So it's just funny that I was like completely random. And then after that, yeah, there was the support from Dom Dollar, 2 tracks in one set at Miami Music Week closing, which I wasn't there, but my friends were there. And
Insane.
they said Dom Dollar just played this crazy remix. And my friend had been there and he left because he wasn't happy with Dom Dollar's set. He was like, "This set is not good. I'm going somewhere else." And he came back and they said that to him. He goes, "I know that was his remix." And of course, then the track list came out. And there was a video, a friend of mine who I didn't even know, or I know I'm friends with him now, but at the time I did not know him, posted the video to his story. and I was just was scrolling desperately trying to find something, because we were in a mutual Discord server, and I was like, that's my track. So I was freaking out about that. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see. I spent all this time behind my computer screen. Um, it's cool to see. Then you're like where that becomes real life, where it gets played out and all that. But it's funny. I want to go back because at the beginning you mentioned how I am a house artist, and that is true. I do play a lot of house and make a lot of house. But I actually 2 weekends ago had a revelation, and I basically had to say to myself, I can't be a master of everything. Right? They say you have to you can't be good at everything. You have to be good at one thing. And they always used to joke about I studied mechanical engineering. They said mechanical engineers are not really a master of anything. They're kind of good at a lot of small things. But the same way I used to jump around hobbies, I also you can look at my discography, jump around subgenres. I had putting everything out. And I think that was a way for me to prove to myself that I know what I'm doing and I can consistently deliver on quality, like the music quality. And people like the stuff, which is great. But, when you think about your favorite artist, you have an idea of what the music's going to sound like, what the style is going to be, when you're going to go see them play, you know what they're going to go play. And a lot of people recently, when I say I have a show coming out up or a song coming out, they're like, well, what's it going to be? And I was like, I don't think that's how it should be. I think I should have a sonic profile. I think I should have an artist direction and imprint. Um, and I'm watching numerous interviews with every artist says, yeah, you have to just pick a lane and get good at that and grow in that lane. And then once you're at the level where you're big enough, then you can start branching out. So I actually 2 weeks ago decided that I'm going to go all in on techno. I'm actually going to put house on the back burner. Um, I thought about that for a couple reasons. One is the music. Um, most of my remix, the majority of the remixes I do are techno. And people, whenever someone asks me, hey, are you going to remix this new track? Or what's your new remix going to be? Is it going to be techno? Is it going to be techno? When's the techno coming out? So that's one thing. People are always asking me for that. Two is the artist support. So we talk about the support from the Chainsmokers. I've had support from Odd Mob, which was cool, Dala, and then also recently I had support from a big name in techno. His name is Leighton Giordani. He's from New York, and he's like on all of the techno labels that I would love to be on. Every track that's been supported has only been my techno tracks. I've never had support on any of my house tracks.
Really? Interesting. Okay.
So if people are asking for it and people are supporting it, that should be a sign.
Yeah.
Off the bat. But I think the nail in the coffin of the house for me of moving over to techno was also when I thought about, okay, let me think about the shows that I play, right? So if I'm going to be making it and getting support from it, I also need to play music myself. And what shows do I enjoy playing more? And without a doubt, I was like, oh my God, I love playing techno shows way more than house shows. Because the way I look at it is house music's everywhere. And like for example, I played a show on the Moxie rooftop in Williamsburg and up in Brooklyn a couple months ago, and people weren't really moving. It didn't really matter what I threw at them. And at Vinyl in Philly, I play remixes all the time. Sing along, it works there, no problem. But like people keep coming up to me requesting different songs, and I have a lot of open format like non-house music on my USB for that reason. But I just thought to myself afterwards, I was like, do I want to do that? I don't think I want to do that. No one, you go to a place and they're playing house music, no one stumbles into a techno show. That just
Right.
You're going there because you like the music.
That's true.
And you're going to be cool with whatever the DJ is playing or not, but like you're not going to be on your phone. You're not going to be not paying attention. Like every show I've ever been to for a techno show has been just unreal from a music standpoint, from a production standpoint, the way I felt. So I was like, well, if all these variables are pointing in that direction, like I should not deny that anymore. And I think part of me was hesitant to do that because house is cool, right? It's
Yeah. It's
cool. Everyone's
definitely
doing
having its
it.
moment right now.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
everyone's like every video on Instagram, it's like the cool house show, and like I want to be part of that, and like I want to be in with that crowd. Like I want to fit in with, I want to be friends with these guys. But I don't think I should be doing music because of who I want to be friends with. I should be doing it for what it speaks to me. Um, and the one show that really locked that in for me was I went to Miami Music Week this year, and there was a showcase from the Drum Code label, biggest name in techno, and I didn't move for 5 hours. I mean, I just stood there, and the only word to describe it was just entranced. I was like, this is awesome. And there was an artist up there, a couple artists who played the show who I thought were like house people, but they've released 7 years ago on the label. So they were invited because they're big names and they were invited to do the show. And one guy got up there and he makes like indie dance and tech house, and he played the craziest techno set. I'm like, maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should pick my lane and get to that level. And then, you know, well, it's kind of the opposite, where he makes everything else, but also play the techno show. But I want to do the reverse, which is make techno, play techno, but also then that gives you opportunity to sprinkle in some stuff that kind of teeters on the edge. Um, like Carl Cox plays music that it could be house, it could be techno. I don't really know what to call it. And he's a legend. So, um, so it's funny that you alluded to the fact that I'm a house artist, but as of 2 weeks ago, I'm actually pivoting. I'm going all in on techno, which is, I think it's going to be good for me. Keeps me focused. I feel like I'm jumping around different projects, but now I'm like, everything that's new that's coming off my computer is going to be in that direction. Um, so that I'm excited for that. I don't know maybe that'll put me back a little bit on playing shows. Like I'm going to say no to some more things, because if it doesn't align, then I just have to say no. But I think it'll be good for me in the end. So we'll see.
That is a awesome decision and like very in deep analysis you did to like kind of go through the decision of switching to techno from house, especially it would have been such an easy choice to stay with house,
Mm,
knowing that it does have its moment right now and everyone like is vibing, dancing, enjoying the house movement at the moment, including myself.
yeah.
Uh, so decision to make techno, especially in Philly, I'm assuming is kind of tough because I'm not
hmm
sure if it has a big enough scene.
No,
Um,
it doesn't. No.
in making that decision, did you figure or assume that, hey, I'm making a decision to play techno. I am in Philly. Have you thought about like maybe I have to go to another city that has a bigger techno following to maybe establish?
Well, physically, like visiting, yes. Like
Mhm.
going elsewhere, no.
Okay.
I mean, this is not my full-time gig, obviously. So I have
Mhm.
a day job, whatever. Um, but I've had the opportunity, and this is another thing that I was thinking about. I've had the opportunity to play techno in DC as well,
Mhm.
2 times, and I loved it, and they loved it. So, yeah, I think that the amount of shows that I do, and I'm not going to give up. I love playing at Vinyl every other month. I have fun when I DJ with my friends there, and like that's always a good time. I'm not going to give that up, but it's not going to be something that I'm like heavy marketing or promoting as part of my brand. It's going to just be like, yes, I'm doing this still, and like, let's have a fun night and have some tequila sodas, but it's not going to be like something I'm heavy marketing. The only thing that I'm going to be heavily putting my effort to actively is the techno side of things. And yeah, the Philly scene, not as big on techno. And another thing I was thinking about is like I said, like I liked being involved in the house realm, and that's huge, and there's a huge following, but I mean, techno is huge. It's everywhere. So I'm still going to get a following. I'm still going to build a community around that. It just probably will take a little bit longer in the local scene, but my goal was never to be just a local guy. So it didn't really bother me. I know a lot of people get caught up on that. They're like, I need to be as big as possible in my scene. And that's your lane. If that's what you want to do, great. Awesome. But I knew from the jump, that's not what I wanted to do. So that even helped my decision more, is like, I don't want to be biased by what I think works the best and what's going to get me the most shows now here. Cause they're paying $100 like, it's not like amazing. It's not even, the money's not even there. It's just,
Right.
what do I love doing more? And playing techno. Every show I've done, I opened for Eli Brown at the Ave. That was the most fun. I did that twice. The second one was the most fun show I've done so far. I think I had in this city was was that show, and that was Techno. And everyone's like, that set was crazy. Where did you find these tracks? And I think that's where I've been able to let the artistry actually come through, is when I'm more of an artist. I feel like more of an artist when I do techno. I do not feel like an artist when I play, a remix of a house remix of Down by Jay Sean. Like that just it doesn't make me feel like an artist. And it's a little ironic because I just put out a house edit of You're a Jerk by the New Boys, and I'm going to be putting out a house edit of Gassed Up by what is it, Nebuchadnezzar, is that his name? The big track of 2019 to 2020.
Yeah.
And so I still will be rolling out and getting and offloading the music that I've already made from my computer. And that is house, but I've made a promise to myself that nothing between from 2 weeks ago forward, when I hit file new, none of that will be house. It'll all be techno.
Yeah.
So
I think that's super interesting at the same time. Not that you're, driven to be like, oh, I want to fit in with, whatever the current crowd is in Philly. You want to carve out your own lane of what's authentic to you and what you genuinely like doing. And people obviously are loving what you're putting out under the techno space. And that's the right way to do it.
I'm really appreciative that I solicit a lot of feedback from friends, and I have people who are brutally honest with me. I had a friend, he was from Florida, was living in New York, and he was like killing it in the New York scene. Playing at Superior Ingredients. He played at, was it Somewhere Nowhere? Somewhere Elsewhere? They just come up with these names, I don't know. Playing techno. And he wasn't getting as many gigs as he'd like, and he was falling into the same thing where he felt like he needed to play house and he didn't want to. I think that's what it was. Either way, like techno really resonates with him, and so he moved down. He's like, I got to go to Miami, and so he's going to Miami and he's doing that. And like another friend of mine, is making house. He's doing deep house, and he was living in Houston, and he actually just signed with the Shalizi Group, which is like one of the biggest management groups. They manage Marshmello, they manage Alesso, and he just blew up on Instagram, and his reels were doing well, and they signed him, and they're like, you got to come to Miami. And he just like went all in on that, and he like knew that that's the direction he wanted to go. And I was like, everybody has the direction except for me. Why I need to do that? And it comes from me just like wanting to be good at everything, but I just knew that I was like, that's not going to happen, so I got to pick something. But yeah, you mentioned something that I actually really like. I think you said that I didn't feel like I fit in. Is that what you said? What was the rephrasing you used? You said, because I want to make a, I want to
you
build
want
on
it
it.
to be authentic to your truest sense.
Yeah,
of what
so I wanted to
you
feel like, sorry, so thank you. It's my train of thought.
No, you're good.
I wanted to actually feel like an artist. And like this is not a knock on anyone in particular, but I just feel like Philly's a very DJ heavy city, but
Definitely.
I would not consider Philly an artist heavy city. There's a lot of DJs, not a lot of artists. And I don't know how to say this without sounding not humble, but like I like to stand at the back of the room. You ask any of my friends, there's a DJ setup. Everyone's always chomping at the bits. Oh, I want to plug in. I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I stand at the back and I have a Heineken in my hand and go, I'll play when it's my time. I'll play.
Yeah.
I'm not. Because I like to just listen and observe and see what people are playing and see how people mix, see how people curate a set, whatever. And so I've never really felt like there was enough artistry. I feel like it's just a bunch of people who just are just mixing tracks together. And so I kind of consider myself more of an artist than I think most, which is why I was like, if I'm going to be true to that, I have to be the artist that I know that I can be. And that is also something that helped me make that decision, which is just like, I know I like to tell myself that I don't know what I'm doing, but like I do know what I'm doing. And it's okay. I've learned that it's okay for me to admit that to myself. Like, I'm pretty good at this. Like, I know what I'm doing, and it's time for me to like really embrace that. And so I had my sights set on a couple of labels in the house world. I've since scrapped that. And I was like, I've got my sights set on a few labels in the techno realm. So that's where I'm going with that.
That's amazing.
And also before I forget,
Yeah.
I'm sure when you hear the word techno, you're probably thinking like, I don't know what you're thinking. Most people think sweaty Europeans in a cage in a club somewhere in the middle of nowhere with a cage around the DJ, and there's just sweat and black leather and like that's not that is not what I'm going to be making. Techno is very there's a lot just as there was a lot of subgenres of house, there's an equal amount of I have learned subgenres of techno. Some that teeter right on the edge that you would never know if it, you don't really know if it's house or techno. You don't really know what to call it. So it's very versatile music that you can play anywhere. And I've been kind of teaching myself that genre of like learning what is techno, so that I know I'm more prepared for when I go into making it, like having an idea of what it is.
Well, what would you say then is the key distinction between the two genres, like house and techno? If
I
it,
really wish you didn't ask me that because I knew you were going to ask me that. um, I think that the way I interpret it is that house music is more of a movement based thing, like getting people moving,
Mhm.
and it's a feeling. And I think techno is just an energy, and that's very vague and makes no sense. But there's no way to really articulate it. It's just I think about I'm gonna answer your question by just describing the difference in feelings that I have between the two. When I go to a house show, all I'm thinking is that's sick. That's a like, and that bass line's crazy, and like that's awesome. But when I go to a techno show, like the more that my brain turns off and I find myself just moving, I'm like, that's what it's about. Techno is really just here's a 4-bar loop that I made, and you're gonna enjoy it for the next 6.5 minutes until I start
Mhm.
playing the next one. Whereas house is more of like, uh, there's more structure to it. It's more of like here's the break and here's the verse and here's the build and here's the chorus. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me and hate me for saying that, but I'm an American. I'm in the American house scene. That's how American house music is. But like techno is more, I've just find myself like, I'm going to make a really cool beat, a 4-bar beat, 6 seconds, and I'm going to just elongate that for 6 minutes. And I'm going to take some things away and add some things back throughout the course of that 6 minutes. But like, here's the idea. And that's what techno is all about. It's just like a groove and like just getting a feeling. There was some guy, I don't remember, he's an artist from Detroit, and he was actually doing a feedback session in Q&A in there's a Philly-based house record label, Realty Records. They do feedbacks every other week. And he was describing it, he's like, your music is good when you're like in a pocket. Where you're just like, you get people just like doing this, and then you take some things away to give them a break, maybe go buy a beer, and then you like come back in. And techno is really like, I love that. It's not complicated. It's just here's a cool idea for a few minutes. And that's, to me, that's the distinction between the two. But then there's stuff that I want to make that's kind of both. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. How do you think you're going to approach curating these sets and putting together what you're going to play and what you're going to produce?
So, I'll start with the set. I'll start with the former half of that, which is another reason why I kind of consider myself more of an artist than some other people. And again, this is not a knock on anybody, but like a DJ set should be a journey. A DJ set should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And any set that I do that's not at vinyl is the exception. Any set that I do, and when I was younger playing at Noto, that doesn't count either. When I play at the Ave, that's really, or any venue like big like that, any above 1,000 or above 1,500 capacity venue where like I'm opening for a big artist, I always do a curated set. So I mix live, but the track selection is not done live. I do that beforehand because I want to make sure that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning is like the appetizer, like here's the chips and dip. It's not exciting, but it's like, oh, I'm kind of ready for some more. And then, midway through, it's, you get into the entree. You're like, give me the good stuff. And that's where I pull out some deep cuts, some tracks that I find from 10 years ago, from 12 years ago. I love that. I love going on SoundCloud, finding a track I like, opening up actually, this is giving away some game, which I really don't normally do, but like I'll find a track from a label that I really love. I'll go back 6 years, I'll find a track, and then what I'll do is I'll use SoundCloud's related tracks feature where it just shows you tracks that it thinks are related, and I'll dig through those. And all of my sets I've ever done for any opening set at the Ave, I make sure that a track has less than 10,000 plays. If it has more than 10,000 plays, I'm not playing it. Or if it's like a remix of a song that's currently popular, I'm not playing it.
Why is that?
I want the wow, like you need to have a wow factor. So when you're telling a story, you also like, yes, I'm going to be giving music to you that you do not know. And in Philly, I have learned over time the Philly scene does not like that. Philly is not the shows that I played, except for the Barbary. The Barbary is the perfect place to showcase new music that people have never heard before. They're a
I've actually never been to that venue.
Very receptive crowd.
I hear it's insane.
But at the Ave, or just in general in Philly at vinyl, like you can't really give people stuff they don't know. It's just not going to work. And so I want to make sure that I have a wow factor. So I know that if I'm going to be giving you something, I already know that you're not going to be receptive to it. But if I'm going to give you something, it's got to be good. And so I just find all these really cool tracks that I've like never heard. I'm like, whoa, like that is awesome. The only times anyone's ever asked me for tracks, they're like, what was that track you played like halfway through the set? It's always those ones. And I think that's the artistry as well, is that anybody can just pick a bunch of tracks off of SoundCloud or like whatever's good big right now, put it on a USB and mix some tracks together, but you're not telling a story. And I think about all the sets that I've been to, how they make me feel. And all of them they have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. And at the end, the dessert, you're like, here's the stuff that I know you're going to like. It's sweet. You're going to like it. I know you're going to like it. That's where I'll play some remixes of like an old Kanye track, or I'll pull out a remix of, whatever, something that I've made. But it tells a story, it has a journey. And I think that's really where the artistry is being able to play my own music, stuff that you can only hear that I haven't put out yet. And then also, building it up and bringing it down, building it up and bringing it down. And as much as I will never do it again, I do appreciate my experience doing open format over at West and Down and Pace and Blossom, because it taught me, David Mai, who's manager, he's manager, right? That's his role. Manager.
Yeah.
He said something to me actually once in a meeting, and he said, you can't play bangers the whole time. People need to have time to use the bathroom and get a drink. And I was like, I've never really thought about that. Like, I've never really thought about that in a DJ set, that like, you can't be going hard the whole time. And I don't know for how many shows you've gone to, what your experience is, but when I go to some sets for some newer kids in the scene, they have the feeling that they need to be playing bangers the whole time. And one, it drains the crowd. Two, that's not how, if like, let's say we're in the context of an opening set for a big name, that's not how you open for someone. And three, like, it doesn't give you time to like breathe, or like the show, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make you comfortable to show. And
kind
so,
of overwhelming.
Yeah. So I've actually learned, as well as like the track curation is important from an energy and a storytelling standpoint, but also from people need time to, like, they want to go get a drink before the headliner comes on. People want to go use the bathroom. They don't want to miss out on you have to weave in, that. And so I keep that in mind when I'm building my sets too. I'm not even kidding you. I have my phone up here, and I have my software where I put the tracks, I load in the tracks, and I go, okay, by the time this track comes on, it'll be about 11:15. All right, I'm gonna want people to go get a drink then. So I'll play this track. That's 6 minutes long. I'll play the first half of it and mix in this next one. So that gives them a solid 10-minute break to go get a drink. And then I'm going to give it right back. I'm going to bring it right back in. And that sounds like really psychotic, but it works. It honestly it really does work.
It's not necessarily, I mean, Usman and I have for sure, that's how our friendship started, is like, going to so many of these shows and meeting. We're also Drexel people. So, going to so many of these shows in the city. I've attended so many of these shows. I never really took a step back to think about like the spacing and the pacing of like, oh, you do need to use the restroom. You do want to go get a drink. And, you can't, as much as I used to absolutely love bass music, and I still do. I used to be the person cruising to work every single morning. It's like 7:30 in the morning. I am
Right.
blasting dubstep. I used to be that person.
Brain's funny.
But I mean, I think it reaches a point where it's too much. If you're just heavy hitting it with that the whole way through, it's nothing but bangers. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's definitely to your point about artistry. I think it takes the nuance of an artist rather than somebody that's maybe just playing what they know is popular.
Yeah, I've had the chance to speak to a couple of newer people that I would consider newer in the scene in Philly, and they're like, "Give me something, tell me something." And the number one thing I always say is just make sure that when you get up behind those decks, that you put yourself in the shoes of an artist, not just a DJ. Don't be the cool frat kid who's playing, who wants to just like look cool and be cool. And I know Jimmy alluded to this when you were talking with him, which is like if you're doing it to look cool or like you do it for the right reasons. But there's a reason everybody says that. It's because it's true. No one's gonna. I personally do not enjoy uh, listening to people DJ where they're just like have to be the cool guy who's dropping bangers. Like I've walked out of places. I'm like, I can't do this right now. There's no way I'm doing this right now. Um, because it's almost like it's disrespectful to the the artistry, and it's disrespectful to what DJing is. And I know most people will be like, man, it's not that deep, bro. But if you care about it and you love it, like it is that deep. Um, and I would never personally want to be looked at because you never know who's in a room, right? I know that when I DJ, it's not like I'm a high school football player and there's a scout from Penn State standing there. Like it's not like that. But that being said, you never know who's going to be there. And like, I don't want anyone to ever walk away from a Silvertone set and be like, that kid sucked. He was horrible. I never want that to happen. And so that's why I like take the time and show the respect to the artistry. And that has paid dividends when it comes to I don't like using the word success because I'm not where I want to be yet, but past performance of music production as well is like, I spend the time to learn the genre. I spent the time learning what the sounds are. When I hear something in a track and you're going to tell me you've got a problem, but like, and my friends can agree with this. Like I'll hear something like, what is that sound? I'm like, oh, that's the rim shot from the 707 drum machine. They're like, how do you know that? It's because I've spent the time to learn that. And I know that when I want to make techno, I need to know what the common sounds are, like that you hear over and over again. I need to know all these things. And so I've shown the same respect to DJing as I do with music production, which is just understanding the genre, understanding the practice, understanding the history, understanding the artistry. And so when I'm not making music, when I'm not DJing, when I'm not finding new music, I'm sitting here watching documentaries about the history of techno, how it started. I'm sitting here learning about the new drum machines that are coming out. I'm sitting here learning about, watching tour vlogs from big artists, like what they do, just anything that can keep me immersed in the space. And like, it's people always talk about manifestation. Like you have to really be surrounded by, if you want to do it, you got to be surrounded by it. And like, do I recognize that I could be doing more and spending more time and doing more content creation? Yes. Like I think on paper, if you look at me, I am not what they call all in. And I know that that's where I need to get. But right now, like I'm making the music, having fun with it. But I'm being at the point where I'm comfortable now where I want to be all in, which is just immersing myself in this. And I'll get there. I'll get to where I shamelessly post myself on Reels and on TikTok. Right now, I just post memes. I post memes with my music in the background, and that's my
Love it.
promotion method. But I'll get there. But in the meantime, I want to surround myself with the artistry and show the respect that the music deserves. And so that's why I think that the one thing I always tell people is just show the respect to the music and like put yourself in the shoes of an artist and go about it that way. And if I'm allowed to just keep talking, another thing
Of course.
was like the Breakaway Music Festival just came to Philly a couple weeks ago, and everybody and their mother was on the silent disco lineup. They had like 50 or 60 DJs on the silent disco lineup, and they're all local people, And I had a couple guys come up to me at Vinyl. I wasn't DJing; I was just hanging out. And he was like, one of the guys was like, I don't mean this like in a weird way or disrespectful at all, but like, I'm genuinely curious. Like everybody was on that lineup, but you were not on that lineup. And like, you're like doing the best. And I was like, well, first off, I appreciate you saying that you think I'm doing the best, because I don't think I'm doing the best. But he was like, no, like, dude, you're putting out music, you're putting out remixes, you're getting the support, you're signing to labels, you're playing shows. Like, you were the only person not on that lineup. Like, what was the reason for that? And I said to him, I don't mean, because they were playing the show, they were playing it. I was like, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like, what are you getting out of that? What are you getting out of a 30-minute silent disco set at 5 o'clock on a Friday, where people don't even come until 7 o'clock? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, if I'm going to be an artist, like, I want people to look at me as an artist. And like, when I see someone, great, they're playing the silent disco stage, awesome. Like, that's not like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I have more respect for, I'm like, that doesn't wow me. And I'm all, again, like I said, I'm all about the wow factor. When I post an event flyer, I want people to go, whoa, like, that's going to be sick. Like when I got the opportunity to open and close for Medusa at Echo Stage in DC, like that I said wow to myself. I'm like, wow. And other people said wow. They're like, whoa. When I headlined a warehouse, it was a 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. It was a headline for an after hours warehouse in LA. And I posted the event flyer. Everyone's like, whoa, you're going to LA and you're headlining a warehouse. Like, that's awesome. So my metric is just, is this a wow? Does this wow me? And I was like, it just waters you down. You know, like if you're just doing a 30-minute silent disco set, like that waters down your brand. And that advice was given to me from this friend who moved to Miami, and his manager has all the connections in the world. He said, if I want to play a club space and open a club space tomorrow, my manager will set that up. But it'll be more rewarding for me when people come to see me because of me as an artist, and like, I don't have to ask for that. They come and ask me for that. He said, so you need to just be careful with what you select, what you play, because it reflects you as an artist. And so and this goes back to, I had said, like, I got to start saying no to some things. And they did reach out to me. They said, like, we'd love to have you on the show. And the guy, and this is no hate to them. I was very appreciative of them. But the guy said, he let it off saying, I see that you're killing it with your artist project. I would like to get you involved on the festival. Now, if that had been a segue to an offer to play a spot on the actual main lineup on one of the two main stages, that would be a very different situation. But to tell me that you think that I'm killing it, but then offer me a 30-minute, by the way, the time slot was dependent upon how many tickets you sell, which I'm so over that. I did that. Like that, you see what I'm saying? There's no benefit. There's no benefit. And I've never been one to be like, well, what does this do for me? And I realized that you kind of have to every once in a while. You
Yeah.
kind of have to be like, what does this do for me? Is this truly worth my time and the image that it presents of me? And I was like, no, it doesn't actually. So I said, I can't, so, but that goes back to the artistry. It's like, are you representing yourself as an artist or as a DJ? Because if you're representing yourself as a local opening DJ, then yeah, by all means, get behind the decks at a music festival and get the 2 free general admission tickets that come with it. But it just wasn't for me. Image is everything. Image is everything. And I'm not, you can ask any of my friends, I am not a image guy. I don't have I'm not there yet where it's like, he's got like, whoa, like when you think about it, he's mysterious, Alex, big techno guy. I don't really have that yet. And so any steps that I could take where I'm moving towards that. And I was like, that was an easily accessible step, which was to just think about what the image is, what the optics are.
It feels like being intentional about how you immerse yourself into that world. And you
Yeah.
were just talking about, manifestation and kind of the importance of being around what you want to be. And I forget the conversation we had some time ago, Usman, where we got some of the advice. If you want to be a writer, you got to write. If you want to be XYZ, you have to do that thing. Like, you actually have to be about what you're claiming to be.
100%.
So
Yeah.
I completely understand that perspective.
That is a very unique perspective, and the fact that you did say no, because you are an artist and not a DJ, is very, very telling as well. Because I know that in the Philly scene, um, being from Drexel, there's a ton of DJs when
Mhm.
we were at school, and most of them were just DJs. No one was actually producing that I knew, um, until a couple years later, where they're like, "I'm tired of this scene of just trying to sell tickets,"
Yeah.
and they made the switch. And not everyone made the switch of like, "I want to do this and actually make music and produce," and then they transition into becoming an artist. Um, how do you, I guess, give advice to someone who's trying to make that decision of like, how do I make this a full-time gig rather than just becoming a DJ
Yeah.
and becoming trans?
The first thing that you have to start out with is like the fundamental truth of it all is like, what is your goal? Do you actually want to do this? If the answer is, I think so, maybe, then the answer is no. It has to be a yes, a resounding yes. And once you've moved past, once you've answered to yourself, yes, I would like to do this, then it becomes a question of, well, what do I want it to look like? Do I want to play as many shows as possible, or do I want to put out as much music as possible? And they don't have to be mutually exclusive, but one will inevitably lead to the other. And so you have to make a decision of which one are you going to get good at? Are you going to get good at playing as many shows as you can and get good at playing shows and get good at DJing and mixing? Or are you going to spend the time and get good at making music? Because there are a lot of most of my weekends, I love nothing more when Friday night rolls around. I have no plans and I can sit here for 5 hours and make music. I love that. And I remember one time actually, I went to the Ruby Room, and Jimmy Six was like, "Dude, I haven't seen you in like 4 months." I was like, "Yeah, I've just been making music." But you really have to answer. You have to answer that question: do I want to do this? And if so, if yes, and you want to be an artist and you want to produce and you want to step away from DJing and move into music production, you have to figure out what do you want to make. That's the most important thing, is what do I want to make? And again, I'm victim to this. I didn't know what I want to make for 2 years. I was just making everything. I know that now. So one, what resonates with you the most? Where do you see yourself? And another part of that, and this is a great question that I recommend people ask themselves if they want to be an artist and if they want to make music, is who do you see yourself sharing the stage with? That was a great question. I don't remember where I heard that, and because I wish I could give credit, but was close your eyes and you see yourself DJing on a festival lineup or on a show lineup. Who's before you and who's after you? And I asked myself that question recently, and the person before me and the person after me, both techno. I was like, oh no, I don't want to do house. I want to do techno. So you have to think about who would you collaborate with, who would you share the stage with. If you were putting in an impromptu back-to-back set, who are you DJing with? What does that look like? What does that music realm look like? That's a really important question to ask. And then actually, let's say you've made the decision. Yes, I want to go in. I want to learn how to make music. Yes, I know what music I want to make. Then it's the how. And music production is not easy, but it's just you have to pick a software, and there's a couple really good ones. They're all very good. They all do the same thing. Everyone has a bias. Oh, this one's better than this. It's better than this. It all does the same thing at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if you're new to this, you're gonna have to spend a ton of hours learning something. It's all the same. So that comes with learning the software. It's digital audio workspace, I think, is the acronym. DAW is the acronym. So you have to learn the software. And then you have to learn everything there is to make music: arrangement, chord progressions. Well, I don't even make chord progressions, but music theory to some very elementary level of whether something is in key or not. And I use ChatGPT for that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'll put something together, and if it doesn't sound quite right, I'll ask ChatGPT, "Hey, here's my notes. Is this in key?" It'll be like, "Nope, change that one note." Oh, okay, that sounds good now. Like, I don't know music theory. I didn't go to music school. I didn't do any of that. Um, and then the most important question is, are you willing to put in the time? How much time are you willing to put in? Because it, I was doing it 40 hours a week for like a good 2 years. I would not. It's just how long it took. And maybe I'm slow at picking things up. Maybe it took me a little bit longer, but like that's how long it took me to be like someone says to me, Alec, I need you to make this track, or my brain tells me I want to make this track, and I can go ahead and do it, no problem. It took me that long. So the order of operations is, do you really want to do it? What do you want to do? And then you need to learn how to do it. And if you're okay with all three of those things, then yeah, maybe music production, being an artist is for you. And the last most important part is, once you start doing it, how open to criticism are you? Are you going to be okay with people being honest with you? I have a few people who I'm not going to name, who will ask me for feedback on something. I'll tear it to shreds, and they will take it as hostility, and they will not take it to heart. They will not make any changes, and then they'll put the track out, and it's not as good as it could have been, which is a shame. But I have a friend who the same friend who's in Miami, good relationship with. I will send him something. He'll be like, "Nah, I hate that," and I'm like, "Okay, good, actually. Let me try something else. I'll come back to you later." So if you're open to criticism, then yeah, you'll be fine. Especially because the industry is a lot of no. You're gonna get a lot of criticism no matter what. Because once you've made the music, let's say you get past the criticism part of people saying, "Oh, I hate this, change that," or "I don't like that," whatever. Then you get into, okay, now it's time to put the music out, and you're gonna face even more criticism.
Yeah.
I currently have about 279 declines of music I've sent to labels, and I have 2 that were a yes. I just pulled it up because I knew that this discussion was gonna come up, and that's just on one service. That's not even via email, where I haven't gotten emails back. This is just sending demos to labels, sending demos to artists, where I'm like, this is sick, like they're gonna love this, and then I get a no, and that's criticism. A no is criticism. But
Are they
as long as
providing
you
feedback? Or
sorry,
are they providing feedback?
no, the artists, they're too big. They don't have enough time. They don't have enough time. But some do.
Yeah.
Some do, but most don't. And so those are the steps. And if you're good, if up to that point you're good with all of that, then you'll be set. You'll be good. After enough time, everything will work out. That's just how it is. But that was a long-winded way of saying, if you want to make the transition from just DJing, playing parties, you know, being a little bit more respected and building an artist project, the music, you have to make the music. You have to show the same respect that everyone else before has showed, which is contributing something to the scene, putting something out that enhances the scene, different sound, different vibe. That's where all the big artists, they all curating a very unique, they have their own sound, something that's new, something that's fresh. You have to contribute that. You have to give back, and giving back is just making the music and contributing something and trying your hand at that. Because a good example of this is like when I broke into the playing in DC, I had cold messaged the promoters of the main club, Soundcheck and Echo Stage. They'd never heard of me, well, sorry, I just jumped the gun. I thought they had never heard of me. And I was like, nah, they're gonna say no, because it's probably just like Philly, where everybody and their mother wants to DJ shows. And the promoter called me. He was like, "Are you the same Silvertone who made like X, Y, and Z remixes?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Dude, we're in a group chat with like all of our openers, and they all were like, yeah, we've been playing his remixes for months down here."
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, like you don't have to give us a mix or anything. Like, are you available this day? Like, we're gonna put you on the show." I was like, "Whoa." And they invited me to they did like it's Club Glow is the group, and they did like a Club Glow like group team happy hour before it happened to be on the night before the show I was playing. And I went to the mixer, and I met all like the openers, like, "Dude, I love that one remix," or "I've been playing this remix, I've been playing that." And I was like, I never really thought, I was like, wow, like these people, I've never met these people before, and the music spoke for me. And like that really is what will help you transition from being just a DJ who has to beg for gigs. Yes, I'll sell 75 tickets at 3 tables, to, hey, can I come play? Oh, actually, yeah, you're cool. We know who you are. Like, yeah, we already know you know what you're doing. Come down.
Yeah.
That's really what making the music and being an artist is what it takes, I think.
Yeah. That definitely speaks to the identity. I think it comes down to the identity of being an artist, like through and through,
Yeah,
versus
absolutely.
DJing on its own. And something that you mentioned, we've kind of talked about how clearly you're so impassioned by learning, and that's what got you into this space. But something that I noticed too, in kind of talking about collaboration, working with others that you have mentioned on your Spotify and your bio, is how you aim to kind of get people to find their own, kind of space out there too, if they want to break into creating and finding their own sound. Like how do you seek to achieve that with people that might be seeing what you're doing?
I think up to this point, it has been me putting out different subgenres of and techno music. Everything's a little bit different. So when you hear it, like, that might expose someone to a genre that they maybe didn't know that they liked before. But like, one thing is, like, I love most of my tracks have the Roland 303 or some derivative synthesizer, which is they call it the acid sound. And I try my hand at putting that in tracks that don't traditionally have that. So, like, and a lot of people I know personally don't use that. So I weave it into every track. I did a melodic techno remix and I weaved that in. It's not melodic techno is not known for its acid sound, and I weaved it in. I did I did a I put out a tech house track on a label in LA, but the main synth, I couldn't think of anything, so I said, oh, what if I just tried the acid sound? And the main synth was an acid sound that becomes like acid tech house. It's new, it's different. I'm sure there's a lot of people making that, but it was different for me, and it was different for people that I know that they weren't used to. Like, whoa, like that was really sick what you did. There was another track. It was technically a bass house track on a French label. I hadn't heard a single track on their label use the acid sound, and I wove it in there, and people were like, that was really cool how you did that. Like, I want to try that. And I've noticed, actually, funny enough, and I'm not going to name any names, but recently some of my friends who I've been producing with, like, I'll open up, they'll be streaming on Discord. We always sit in Discord and share our screens while we're working on something, because every once in a while I'll be like, yo, can you, like, take a listen to this? And they could just open the stream. And every once in a while I'll drop in on someone's stream and they, like, have the Roland 303, like the acid synth open. I'm like, you never used that. They're like, yeah, but I like that one track that you did that had it. Like, I kind of want to try. Like, it's really sick. Like, something like that. Like, it's cool. Like, I kind of have an influence on some of my friends, and who knows, maybe there's some people out there that I don't know who have been influenced by that. But, like, I found this thing that I like. I try to weave it in everywhere I can. Maybe that'll inspire you to try. Maybe if it's not that, something else that, like, maybe you have an affinity towards and you, like, haven't really tried out. So the remixes, bunch of different subgenres, people that I have friends who only listen to one thing, and then I put out, like, a minimal deep tech track, and they're like, whoa, like, that actually is really cool, and that's actually popping right now, and, like, maybe I'll dive into that scene a little bit more and see if I like that. And then also the DJ sets too. Like, I play tracks from labels and from artists that are non-traditional, weird stuff, and maybe that might I try to impact people in the way that I've been impacted, where I go to a show and I pull out Shazam and go, I need this track in my library now.
Yeah.
I want people to do the same. And um I was not born with a musical gift. I can't pick up a keyboard and play a track. Like, I like to consider myself no musical ability. I have the ability to click buttons and adjust knobs until something sounds good, but I don't have music theory. I don't have music background. But the way that I go about making music is I'll hear a track and I go, okay, that's a cool track. I want to make something like that. So then I'll use it as what people refer to as a reference track, where I go to produce a track and I borrow things from that track that will help guide my production, the arrangement, the sound design, maybe the way the bass line groove, something like that. And all the tracks I've ever put out have all started from me being at a club or being somewhere where I heard a track. I'm like, whoa, I want to make something like that. So I pair a reference track with a vocal. So remixes, the vocals there, or I'll just go find a vocal to use for an original and blend them together. That's my production style. And maybe there might be other people that are like that. So, like, the way that I go out to a show and I Shazam something and I go home and I make something from that, I would hope that people maybe could do that for themselves as well. Because you never know who's producing music, whether or not someone's an artist as well.
Yeah.
So I try to do that way too, through when I play music. I play stuff that's a little bit weirder, a little bit different, that maybe someone will Shazam it and go home and use that as inspiration, or maybe that'll help them find a Spotify playlist that now when they go to the gym, they'll listen to music like that. So it's really, I try to be a little bit different so that people are inspired by that and take that home with them in whatever way that they do that.
So let's say 5 years from now, where do you want to be? Music wise, influence wise, geographically, where do you want to be in next 5 years?
I mean, the end goal is I would love to eventually get to a point where I'm playing shows every weekend somewhere. That's the end goal, is to just be able to do this, play this music as much as possible. And I think I asked myself the same question a couple weeks ago, which is what helped me make the decision to move into techno. But I like, there are a few artists that are in a lane of where they're not at a point where they're at like 3 million followers on Instagram. They're nowhere near that big, social media wise, nowhere near that big. But every time someone posts about them on social media, it's always, wow, what a set. What was that track? What was that set? That was crazy. Like, I want people to say the same thing about me. And I'm already getting a taste of that at a small level. I just will hope in 5 years that will be at a bigger level. And the artists that I also am kind of keep in my mind that are at that level are consistently putting out music on like a few core, very popular, very big labels, so that they get a lot of exposure within the scene. Other artists are playing their music and regularly pushing and helping to promote their music via other artists playing it. So, like, for example, if Adam Bayer, who's one of the biggest names in techno, if he's coming out with a new track, he's distributed to everybody on his label's distribution. All of the artists on the label are supporting that music and they're playing it ahead of time. I want to be at a level where, like, if I'm making a new track, I've been signed with I feel like I want to be close knit with like a couple of really big labels where like everyone's supporting the track, everyone's helping push the music, and that perpetuates the growth of the artist brand. And people want to come see me. That's the goal in 5 years, is to be at that level where I'm consistently playing shows, 1 or 2 a weekend, anywhere. I'd love it to be anywhere. um, and I'm releasing, not because right now I've released on like a bunch of different labels, and like that's great to like dip my hand, but you really, the same way that you want to like you're best friends with the people that you're best friends with because you've been with them for a long time. I want to like really grow within a label and get invited to a label shows, like Drumcode does a takeover at a warehouse. I want to be invited to that. So just like at a point where I'm consistently releasing music on a core group of labels, and having big artist support and collaboration with people of equal or greater level, and playing shows every weekend, that would be great. I would love that because that gives you more opportunities to showcase new music. It kind of I'm frustrated, but I know that I have to have patience where I like will finish 6 tracks over the course of 3 months,
Yeah.
and then I'll just like have no shows coming up for the next 4 months and have nowhere to play them or no way to play them. Coincidentally, shameless plug, I'm doing a show opening for a techno artist named Lily Palmer, who's a very large name in techno, a little bit more on the faster side. And that's because that's a techno show. I'll be able to play the stuff that I'm sitting on, which I'm very excited. And that's on Black Friday, so that's a few weeks away. But
November 28th.
I don't remember the day off the top of my head. But that's a couple months away. Between now and then, I'm shooting to have some stuff done. That's November 28th. That I'll be able to showcase in that set. So it's but I would love it to be not every 4 months. I'd love it to be twice a weekend would be nice.
Consistent.
Yeah. But really, the biggest thing is maintaining the wow factor, where everyone's like, "What was that set? Oh my god, I have to go see him!" Like creating that sense of urgency of like, I have to be part of this. I have to go see him. I have to go hear that. That's really where I want to be in 5 years. It's just where that's undeniable.
I love that.
I'm super interested to hear what the like reaction is from the crowd on this transition, because like the reaction to obviously so much of what you've already put out, whether it be remixes, whether it be originals, has been so heavily supported that I can only imagine what, like, if everybody's saying, do techno, I want that
Yeah.
techno track from you, like, what that's actually gonna look like.
And funny enough, the only time I've ever really had like a huge crowd reaction also here at the Av was when I played techno tracks. I have a couple of videos from it was the first Eli Brown show, so May of last year, where I had just made the remix that ended up being supported by the Chainsmokers, and I played it there. And like I still watch the video from time to time because it gives me goosebumps. One guy was like straight up giggling like a schoolgirl. He was like, "What is this?" And he was giggling. So like, it's just funny. I'm
That's
excited to
incredible.
see over the coming, a few years, like how big of a reaction that is. Like,
Yeah.
and because I have those reactions, I'm like, or I'm like legitimately just laughing. I'm like, that's so crazy. That track is crazy.
Yeah.
I want people to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can't wait to hear how that goes. It's gonna be an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And, something that Usman and I always love to ask towards the end of our show is kind of a double-sided question. So, on one side, what is one piece of advice if you were speaking to somebody who wants to get to where you are and kind of wants to do the same work that you're doing? What is one piece of advice that you think is good advice that you would give them? On the flip side of that, what is advice that maybe you heard somewhere somebody gave to you that you would tell them to stay away from? Not advice that you would recommend.
Okay, I'll do it in order. So the one piece of advice I would give to someone is if you're gonna get involved with production, DJing, and artistry, and just like being an electronic artist, and this applies to any artistry really, is being honest with yourself of how much do you really love it, and are you willing to be fully immersed by it. You have to be open to going to the club and listening to and turning off the enjoyer's ears and putting on the ears of someone who's analyzing it. I miss the days of when I listened to music just to listen to music, because now I'm in a position where I listen to music critically. I listen to, did they do a good job with the mix on that track? Did they do a good job? Or even a DJ set, how was that transition, or how is their track selection? But it has made me a better artist, critically thinking about and being fully immersed by the music. So my number one advice to new people is just like, do you love it? You have to love it. Because if it's just casual, then a product of that is what you put out, and what my impression of you is going to be is just casual. So you're a direct reflection of how much you care about it. So my advice is to just make sure that if you're going to do it, just be fully immersed in it. Make sure you love it, and like really love it, and like learn about it and care about it. And it sounds a little cheesy, but all the people who are doing really well are doing well because they love it. Because if you love it, it doesn't feel like a chore. I look forward to when 5 o'clock hits. I close bad computer, I open good computer, and I start making, like, let's make some music. See where this goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you really have to love it.
As a whole, that you wouldn't recommend, that maybe sometimes people do give to artists that you just think isn't really getting them where they want to be.
My advice is don't try to do things as quickly as possible, and don't have an expectation that things are going to happen quickly and that it's going to be easy.
Mm.
Because nowadays a lot of marketing around sample packs, around music production tutorials, around ads I get on Instagram is, here's a quick trick to do this, or here's a quick method of doing this, or like, this is going to make your workflow faster. This is going to make you be a signed artist faster. Here's this $4,000 course that's going to make you an artist tomorrow. Like, nothing good in life comes quickly. There's a reason why you look at someone who has a six pack and you're like, whoa, because it took them forever to get that. You can't, well, I shouldn't say you can't pay, because you can pay to be a big artist quickly, but that's not the right way to do it. But don't expect that anything is going to happen quickly, and don't, I early on I was getting disappointed by how long things were taking. And I think it's just don't don't think that a no or an extra week of something taking a little bit longer means that you're not cut out for it. Just be prepared for patience, because it really is a patience game. Because I have some friends who got into it thinking it was going to happen quickly. It didn't happen quickly, and then just gave up. Which means they didn't love it. It goes back to the first place, that you didn't really love it, because if you loved it, it wouldn't matter how long it takes. Because if I think about it, when I picked up FL Studio in 2014, it's now 2025. That was 11 years ago. Now, obviously, I didn't know I wanted to do music until like 2022, which was still that was 3.5 years ago, was when that springtime was. If you told me then, hey, 3.5 years from now, you're still not going to be anywhere near where you want to be, I still be fine with that, because I say I love it. Doesn't really matter. There's no rush. And like another thing is I made a track in November of last year, and it comes out in the middle of next month. So from the time I made it to the time it was signed and released is 11 months. Things move very slowly in the music industry, especially with the bigger labels you get, the more time it is between releases, because their release schedule is already booked up. So you got to be prepared to wait. So just don't think that any amount of advertisements about you can do this quickly, this will happen quickly, here's a shortcut. There are no shortcuts. You just have to love it, and it'll take as long as it takes. And does it happen faster for some people? Yeah, absolutely. I go on Instagram every day, and someone I know who has been doing it for less time is doing more than I am, and that's fine. But my mom always told me comparison is the thief of joy, and I believe that.
It's the truth.
So, yeah, I'm not worried about it. My time will come. I know that my time will come. It's just a matter of when, not if. But don't rush things. Basically, that's a long way of saying don't rush things.
Trust the process.
Yes.
Don't rush it.
Yes, trust the process.
I wanted to say thank you for joining the show. This has been a very insightful conversation. Before we let you go, can you let people know where they can find you?
Yes. So you could find me on Instagram at Silvertone_official. I'm on SoundCloud as just Silvertone. Spotify is Silvertone, but I have a differentiator. It's a parentheses US, because there's a band called Silvertone, and I was overlapping with them. But yeah, in my Instagram bio, I have my website where you can find all my latest mixes, remixes, originals, upcoming shows, other fellow artists and DJs. If you want to send me music, I have an public inbox where you can send me things, and I will give feedback. I love giving feedback. And also an electronic press kit, so you can learn about me in a short PDF.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much again for the time. We
Sure.
can't wait to see what's going to happen with this new era of
Yeah.
Silvertone.
Black Friday at the Ave.
Black Friday at the Ave. You heard it here first. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.